You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's The Following After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's The Following After Show.
Come on, Nando, sing it. Back at me.
I don't know this song.
I don't. Oh, really?
I know it just barely.
Do you know who this is?
Justin Timberlake.
That's right.
Yes. Because you said it before we started
You know
the show.
what this is?
This is a song, Mirror.
No, this is the following AFTERBUZZ After Show.
Oh, that too.
With just you and I. Me, Joe Braswell, thank you for listening. Thanks for joining us. I'm joined, as always, by Joe Sanfelippo. I'm joined, as always, by Nando Velasquez. I was on autopilot right there.
Yeah, you were on autopilot. I'm here
sorry.
every week. This is the one show I think I've made every week so
You
far.
have.
I
you
think.
have.
I believe I have.
Now, we're playing Mirror because of Dr. Strauss's very
Astute.
awesome, astute observation with Ryan Hardy.
Yes. I
saying
loved
Mirror.
his.
That was a great. We'll get into that in a second.
Yeah.
We're not joined by the lovely Julia Kearley because she is doing some acting. She's in an acting job.
She's got an acting, I
Gig.
think they call it a gig
That's what the kids call it.
in the industry.
Yes.
They call it a gig.
So she's doing that. So Julia Kearley's not here, and Joe Sanfelippo is not here, but he might be on the phone soon. No? Soon.
Soon.
Okay.
Soon, very
We're gonna
soon.
get Joe Sanfelippo on the phone.
It's
and
okay.
Then things are
We got to wake him up,
then
probably.
issues gonna get real.
It's just going to get real.
I am dialing him right now.
Okay.
Oh, and Roya, thank you.
And Roy, our producer.
Oh, whoa, we're going live. with
Oh, wow.
With the ring and everything.
This sounds professional.
This is good.
Does he know we're calling him?
No, wait.
Should we just prank him?
No, hold on. This is good radio. Hello?
Yes.
Don't cuss.
You're calling from a 661. That's weird, man.
Hey, man. Hey, we're live, Joe. We're on the air.
Joe Sanfelippo, everybody.
Oh, good. Well, I shouldn't curse then. That's a good
Don't
idea.
curse.
Not to
No curse.
Yes, no cursing.
Even though it's late night, we still have those same rules in effect.
And
Listen,
we're
I
also
don't want Lemieux to have some sort of a heart attack.
well, it's not Lemieux. It's actually Roya, but she's doesn't want you to curse either.
Yeah. Hello. That's all I have is a
I don't
hello
want
for
Roy
you.
to have a heart attack.
That's fine. And we're live.
But we're live, so let's try this over again. AFTERBUZZ, following after show with Joe Braswell and Nando Velasquez. We're joined on the phone by Joe Sanfelippo.
What's up, everybody?
How you doing, Joe?
I'm living the dream, man.
You know, I was out of town last week, and you had a lot of crazy things to say about my my business trip in Denver, which you said I was out debauching, which is not necessarily true. But I want to say
Everybody
that
does business differently.
yes, everyone does things differently. But I'd like to say that I did miss the return of Claire and your live reaction. Now we've talked since then, but you know, YouTube
Overrated.
and Twitter and iTunes thinks you're very, very happy about that. So are they right?
YouTube, iTunes, and Twitter are correct.
Yes. And
My gratitude is boundless, as is the sea.
well, Claire is back, and now we got we did get some origin. We get a little bit of origin story to that this week.
A lot of flashbacks in this week's episode.
yeah, it was a lot of.
It was
flashbacks.
kind of. It was very much like season one. in a
reminiscent
way.
of season one's
Yes.
flashback and storytelling, which got a little gimmicky a little at times, but for
little
the
bit.
most part,
I think it's good once in a while. I think this episode needed it because it answered some questions. I don't know if
Right.
we needed the Strauss flashbacks with a young Joe with that
Well, you
weird
know, look,
accent. I don't know if they needed that, but
well, first of all, the accent's just an English accent. It's weird.
okay.
But second of all, I think
What's
that.
that?
Well, you know, Nando was saying that he doesn't know if we needed the Strauss flashbacks with a
With that young
Joe Carroll
Joe.
with his weird accent, and I was just saying that that's just an English accent. I think it was fine.
I guess it was the same accent he
How about-
always has.
I thought that was terrific.
I just
Like
don't.
the wig they put on Strauss.
Yeah, and the wig they put on Strauss. I just don't know if I don't know if they needed that part of the flashbacks, but I get it.
Well, I'll tell you what. I
to
think
show to establish how he's affected by Strauss being captured.
you're
I
a
get
comic
that.
book guy.
Yeah.
I'm a comic book guy.
Okay.
Joe's like a comic book character, ish. And I feel like I like origin stories, So I do want to see the origin story because there's something to be said about how does Joe become Joe. In fact, there's a lot in this episode about the pathology of a killer, like the anatomy of a killer. Like how does one become this killer? And we talked a lot about Joe in season 1. His charisma and how he gets his followers to follow him and all of his Edgar Allan Poe gobbledygook and his professor stuff and his good looks, whatever he's doing. Now we're going to see him do that from scratch with this.
Spider-Man, that's an origin story. Batman, that's an origin
There
story.
we
I
go.
don't know if these flashbacks were an origin story. That's all
right.
I'm saying.
I'll take it.
Okay? All right.
But we're going to see Joe actually do his thing with
Yeah.
this. And I've been gone a week, but I will just still keep my position that this goofy-ass cult. The cult, man, it's
Korban.
goofy.
The Korban
I'm sorry,
cult.
The Korban cult.
Yes.
Yeah, it's goofy. But I got a theory on this though. I don't want to talk about. Joe, what do you think about this episode, brother?
No, I like this. There's a lot going on, but I agree with you that the goofiness of the Korban stuff I have a difficult time with. I try very hard to not. I don't know. I go a little cross-eyed when they go and he puts on the robe and he's doing the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I do like the idea of a hermit crab cult that you can just kind of we squeeze your way into a new shell. All right, I fit. I got a new house. I got a new cult. I mean, that's kind of it's very convenient. You got it all there for you. I really like Strauss. I really like the idea of the origin story. I disagree strongly with you, Nando Velasquez.
Well, you're still bummed out that I'm not all for Claire back on the show, so that's all good.
Well,
I
let
accept that.
me disagree with you again then.
Yes.
For me, I like the idea of an origin. I like the idea of finding the mentor guy, and I think the casting, the Strauss casting we talked about last week, is so good. He adds so much, and it's just I'm a big fan.
Me too. I agree.
So I like the episode.
Well, we agree for once.
And I like the Mandy. I didn't mention that. I like the Mandy and I like
that was a nice little.
intention.
That was a nice little cat fight
The
there.
Mandy Emma stuff was really good. We'll
Yeah.
get to that a little later on. That was great. A lot of good stuff in this episode. We have so we got the Claire sort of flashbacks. So we can find out what happened to Claire. We get the West. We get why Weston is very invested. In this whole thing, and then we get the final what that meant to Weston to tell Ryan Hardy that Claire, no, she's, he couldn't say the words, but he just gave that sort of shake his head.
Because they have that bromance. He just could
Right.
barely lie to him.
But it also makes sense on how, in these first 4 or 5 episodes, how, Weston was very much like, talk to me, man. I want to be close to you. He's like, no, no, no. So now that adds a lot of weight to the way, Sean Ashmore.
I guess
Weston was
because he
playing
felt
that.
tormented because he knew that Ryan was on his vendetta trip because he
Yes.
thought Claire was dead. I can
Exactly.
get that. I can get that.
That means a lot. That means that
No,
adds
that
some
means a
depth
lot.
to this thing.
That means a lot. I think the one thing that I still think is weird is that, I'm sorry, Ryan, I guess he was a consultant for the FBI, was not the FBI. But
Season 1.
still, he should have been. I'm just amazed that he was not in the loop that knew that Claire was alive, or he could have gone into witness protection with Claire. After all, they both are targets from the followers, technically. So I still don't think this whole plot point makes 100% sense.
Sure.
But
Right.
but fine, she's alive. Flippo's happy, and the world rejoices, and it's all good.
Listen, far be it from me to poke holes in the following. far be it from me to poke holes in the plot lines in the following.
And by the
But
way,
I might have to agree with you on that.
And by the way, this is a really I still believe this is a very far-fetched thing. But what was cracking me up on YouTube last week, I'm reading YouTube, and several people were like, well, technically it wasn't the FBI, it was the U.S. Marshals. It's their
Yes.
job. And I'm like, all
Sure.
right, you know what? You're right.
That's what they do.
That's what they do. And I looped them in an FBI, so I apologize for that. But this whole darn plot point is so far-fetched, it might as well be the KGB,
I
as far as
like
I'm
your
concerned.
YouTube voice. Do that voice again.
What was the...
Technically,
Technically.
I'm a commenter on YouTube.
I'm just...
That's not nice.
I'm not specifically picking on one person.
Okay.
That's just the YouTube. Like
All right.
I'm reading
The
with
internet.
glasses on. That's
All
what
right.
I do when I read. When I read on the internet, I talk like this. I'm
Right.
reading something.
I
YouTube.
will say I do agree with you to a certain degree, and I do believe that I do agree with the internet and saying that it is the Marshals' job to do that.
It is the Marshals. I take
watched
that responsibility.
Justified. I watched U.S. Marshals.
There
I
you
watched
go.
The Fugitive.
Okay.
I saw Tommy Lee Jones. I get that's their job, and but I do agree with you that it does make weird that like they got Claire, but not Ryan, and that
Yeah.
Shawn Ashmore was like, for Ryan's safety.
For Ryan's safety, all we
won't tell
care
her.
about Ryan.
Joe, did you buy this? Did you buy this origin story thing?
He
with
just
Claire?
saw Claire and he was all happy.
I know, but Joe, come on.
Here's my thing about it. Here's my thing. Ryan almost drank himself to death.
Okay.
Like, he almost killed himself the whole year long. And then Ashmore, like, finds him in a bar, and he gives him, like, this, what the hell, Ryan? What the hell? And
Right.
it's like, okay, I got it up until today. But today I was like, my takeaway was like, dude, Weston, you're kind of a dick. Like, I get it intellectually, but he almost drank himself to death.
Sure.
So at
What
point
point do you say,
hey,
Claire's alive? Don't drink yourself to death.
At what point, right? At what point in detox are you like, all right, dude, we need to talk about this because you're obviously about half a step away from complete kidney failure. So
Sure.
I should drop this on you. Turns out this whole drink yourself to death thing is unnecessary. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I mean, but he was, doing pretty well with the ladies.
He's doing pretty well with the ladies.
Two at a time at the bar.
And really, Ryan was an alcoholic more in season 1. Season 2,
Right.
he picked himself up. But it's
Sure.
more. It was just more about this whole vendetta that he has going after Joe.
Right.
And then he was a bit uncontrollable, and that he wasn't letting Mike in. That was really the thing.
I will say about that initial scene. I mean, again, I've been vocally very critical of the following, but the acting's not that bad. I mean, the acting's really good. I mean, I think that the scene between Shawn Ashmore and Natalie Z, Claire and Mike Westmore was very believable in terms of the emotion that he had to say in bringing and telling Ryan what he told Ryan.
Yeah.
When she was like, I gotta tell Ryan I don't want to do this. I believed all of that. So that was very well acted. I thought it was a great scene and it made a lot of sense and it gave us. It's one of these things where. I talked about the flashback a lot as a device in season 1. I feel like it's kind of a crutch sometimes. Sometimes it's a little gimmicky, but this one was fine. It was fine, even though it's kind of like a little head fake.
Yeah,
you thought she was dead, but guess what? She's alive.
No,
Let's flashback and tell you what happened.
I liked that we got to
Dummies.
hear the answers. Yeah, I liked that we saw it. So
Yeah,
that's fine.
I
Like I
like it
said,
too.
that's fine as long as it's not used every single week. I don't think it needs to be. I think they can go there once in a while.
So Joe Filippo, you had your moment last week with the return of Claire, Natalie Z. So congratulations to you. I must confess that I had my moment this episode where Emma, or it was where Joe Carroll was making Emma scream "Praise Joe" in bed. Now I know that was Emma, the character of Emma, screaming that to Joe Carroll, but Valerie Curry saying "Praise Joe," that might be my new ringtone.
I couldn't figure out why we were recording so late, and then it occurred to me that you were probably rewinding "Praise Joe" with Emma in bed over and over again.
Yes,
That's what.
It's no secret I'm a fan of Valerie Curry.
Maybe we can have her say that if she comes on the show.
She'll come on the show and I'll
have her say that.
turn to mush. But
Okay.
it'll happen.
All right, cool.
She came on last season. I turned to mush on the phone.
Yes.
I digress. So we're back in the cult. We get to see this exchange between Valerie Curry as Emma and Joe Carroll, and so they're happy. The couple seems to be happy. You made it, and Emma's very clear about this. Like she needs to be informed because she felt like she was duped before with the whole boathouse situation.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want to. She wants to make sure that Joe, I'm your right hand woman. I'm the one. Don't do anything without me. And Joe
You get to
says,
include me in my decisions. Yeah.
Yes, and he says, "You're my princess."
You're my high priestess.
Oh, my high priestess.
Yes. You're my partner. You're my high priestess.
Right. And then what did you say? Until he finds out Claire's alive.
Yeah, until he finds out Claire's alive.
This is not going to go well.
That's the one cool thing about this. I will say this. The one cool thing. All right, now that Claire's back, I will say this: seeing Ryan in bed with Carrie Cook, who, by the way, looked a little bit hotter this week to me for some
Right.
reason
Are you
than she
trying to
did
Joe
previous
Sanfelippo?
weekends. She what?
Don't-
Oh, I'm not trying to push his
don't ask
buttons.
me
Joe, how would
to
you?
say something terrible?
Well, no, you're always.
For some reason, she looked a little bit. I don't think she's as pretty as Natalie Z, but for some reason, she looked varying degrees of different types of
all right.
good looking to
Well,
me.
you said it was the Seinfeld, like on
Listen, you
Seinfeld.
can't tell the difference. if you can't tell the difference between a Lexus and a Honda Accord, I can't help you.
Oh my God, Joe, you're calling Carrie Cook a Honda Accord?
No, I was being sarcastic.
All right.
I understand, but to see Claire back, and then the first two scenes we see with Ryan and Joe are pretty much them in bed with two different women.
Yes.
I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens when they start discovering, because we pretty much know, especially by the end of the episode,
Right.
that Claire's going to
show up. And
she's going to show up.
F up everyone's world.
Yes.
So,
absolutely.
Carrie Cook's not going to like it.
Emma's not going to like it.
Emma's not going to like it. No one's going to like it.
Lily Gray's probably not going to like
Gray's
it.
not going to like it. So, yeah, Emma, I do like the reintroduction of Claire.
Yeah.
But
Emma, yes.
Yeah, no, Emma's back, and Emma's very much trying to assert herself. But she's playing the role. You get the sense, as they were joking in bed, even that whole praise Joe situation, that they're kind of like, this whole thing is a goof, right? I mean, like, can you believe these guys praised Joe?
Yeah.
What a bunch of suckers! I think that was pretty true. Did you read it that way, Flippo?
Oh yeah, and well, Mandy's the bellwether there. I mean, she followed Joe from the crazy guy in a beard in Boone County, Arkansas.
Yes,
hold the door for guys going in to plow mom, and now she's followed him through this mansion, private plane,
right?
Gray, the whole family thing. Now we're over here in this crazy cult in the woods. It was all about love, and she had a dude she was into, and he seemed into her, and that was kind of cool. And then Joe is kind of effing all that up.
Yeah,
there was this kind of a lovely moment, where it seemed like for 14 or 15-year-old Mandy, I killed mom, but I got out of there, and I found this neat group of people, and the guy I got out of there with introduced me to him, and oh my God, he just had this dude killed. What? And now he's taking over the cult, and now it's a death cult. What?
Yeah, it is kind of cool to see things through the eyes of Mandy, if you will. I mean, like you said, wide-eyed Mandy, who's fell in love with Joe Carroll and who was able to seduce her, as the bearded, Boone County, Arkansas guy. And then when they went to the mansion, Mandy was even wider-eyed, like, wow, a mansion. This is fancy. This is great. I love it here. And then they're out of the mansion. Then they're in some cult, killing people. She's like, wait, what? That is interesting to see that through her eyes. I mean, I don't know.
I kind of agree. I'm trying to understand her character a little bit better, because I really thought she was, when we first saw her, she seemed more like she was going to be Emma's replacement, or Emma, he was going to be the one who trained her like he trained Emma.
Right.
When she was starting out.
So
now she seems to be getting these second thoughts, and I get it. Her boyfriend, died, and she really loves it here at the,
right.
seeing all these people and they're all her friends, and now Joe's acting, killing them. But then even to hear her talking to Emma the way she was, I'm still a little conflicted and confused about Mandy right now.
Well, there was never a moment where we thought that Mandy was a romantic interest for Joe, right?
I don't think we ever did.
I mean, Joe, did you ever think that, Flip?
No, we've said this. I said this a few weeks ago. We're okay in America with people killing each other. We're okay in America with people stabbing their mothers. But we are not okay in America with anybody bossing anybody under 18. That is how we do it.
That's very true.
So
unless you're in Boone County, Arkansas.
There was that one person. That one person on YouTube who I think wrote that she was European. She was Swedish, I believe, or Norwegian, and she said
in Europe.
She said in Europe, that would totally be fine if they hooked up.
Hey, what's the problem? In Europe, we hook up when we're 16.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I get it.
Booking my flight tomorrow.
What?
No.
No, you don't want a 16-year-old.
No, I didn't mean it for that.
Okay,
I just meant in general.
All right, okay. Flippo, how you like that, Flippo? Nando said something to get himself in trouble. Was he you?
First time.
I can't help him. I'm all the way over here.
So, but I think that what's interesting is that the Mandy character. I agree with you. I feel like that we felt like I'm having trouble getting to where she is too, because she has that wide-eyed thing, and then she kills her mom, so she's kind of ruthless, and she's following Joseph. She's a killer, stone cold killer, kills her mom, but she's still sweet little Mandy. There's obviously a rivalry with her and Emma. So now we get to the cult, and Mandy's so horrified by everything that took place tonight, and it just makes you wonder: is this something that has? I mean, Flip, I'll ask you: is this something that's happened to her after seeing her boyfriend go down, and then I mean, she's kind of ride or die for Joe Carroll, right? She's like ride or die, but all of a sudden she's like looking like I don't know. Wow, she's every shot we see of her, she's horrified.
Well, I think for her, in the beginning, Joe represented, a level of class and intelligence. He was famous. He was on TV. There was a lot that he offered her that she'd never experienced where she was. And now that she's seen him through so many iterations in such a short amount of time, he's not able to fool her.
Right.
The BS that he's able to pass off on everybody else, it doesn't land for her because she's seen him go through all of it. And she's seeing just what an opportunist he is right now with this whole cult. So for her, I think the shine is off the rose. There's no real going back from that. But at the same time, she's a realist, I think, also. So she sure as heck flashes her bona fides for Emma. Like, I'm not the only one here who killed her mama, all right? So back up. Like, so it's kind of like this conflicted girl who's, on the one hand, she sees that he's full of it, and he's trying to make this thing, this cult into what he needs. And on the other hand, she at the same time is not willing to, let go of her place, and he's being darn sure to show Emma that. So
right,
she's kind of conflicted, I think.
Yeah, because there was that moment of like, okay, well, she's horrified, wants to leave, but like, yeah, like you said, when Emma's in her face, she's very much like, yeah, I killed my mama too. So it's like,
well, they're definitely rivals. She
Yeah.
definitely sees Emma as a rival, as competition. And again, she had this really good relationship with Joe before Emma showed up.
I did like that scene. I love that scene. I love that thing. It's like, well, you're good at faking it. Like, I read your book. It was cool. I liked all that.
You know what they feel like? Their relationship felt very much like sisters to me.
Yeah.
Like an older sister and a younger sister,
Sure.
and I think that's kind of where the writers are going with it, which I think makes the most sense.
That makes so much sense. It's very much an older sister, younger sister, sibling rivalry, like fighting over the same boy kind of a thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely get that. So we meet. We have a new guy. We meet Special Agent Jeffrey Clark, who's a liaison to Director Franklin. And he's sort of like, telling, here to help Ryan. And the second he showed up, I gotta say, the second he showed up, I was like, follower, mole. And I don't know if I'm, conditioned to think these things, but that guy, it's just something
There
about
was something a little odd about him.
it's
And the
about
fact,
introduction, like special liaison. I'm sure he's on the up and up. It's either follower, mole, or red shirt. But there's nothing about Special Agent Jeffrey Clark that led me think that he's going to be around for more than 2 episodes.
there was a reaction that he did at some point during the episode where he was just shaking his head in some weird way. I think it was during the wiretap.
The tracing the call.
The tracing the call, where I almost feel like he was relieved that they didn't catch him. They didn't catch Joe.
Joe, what did you think of Special Agent Jeffrey Clark, liaison of Director Franklin?
I like Agent Clark. Felix Solis is the actor. I think he did a great job with that. I like that there's another layer. It kind of makes the FBI seem a little less, what do you call it?
WTFE?
Because, what's that?
WTFE?
You know what I mean? Like, they just
There's a little
seem
bit
so
there.
Keystone Cops sometimes. And I think, and this whole thing, I get it that you're sanctioned off the books. Great. But at the same time, come on, you got this whole huge apparatus of the FBI. Why aren't we using it? And I know we've got the mole, but we found the mole. So I like this idea that we're layering back some of the FBI.
Right. I do like, and I said it a couple of weeks ago, but like I said, I'd watch a show. I like the show. I like the idea of like Director Franklin, Charles S. Dutton, Director Franklin as the, covert head of the FBI.
Well, we saw him for 3 minutes maybe in that whole thing. But yeah, I guess maybe
but I
he'll
like
come
the
back.
idea of like, I'm sanctioning you off the books, Ryan. Do your thing. Like that's a show. I hope they get into more of that because I like the idea of that. This small task force. Other thing I was really intrigued in this episode, which was another major plot point, is the Dr. Strauss sort of echo of our other show, Hannibal, our little Dr. Lecter.
A little bit of that.
Little Dr. Lecter, Will Graham, or little Dr. Lecter, Clarice, if you will, in the jail, which we had a lot of in season 1. In season 1, we had a lot of like Ryan Hardy versus Joe Carroll in
the very
jail
beginning
cell.
of the season
so
1.
there was a little bit of that, but I like that thing because we're used to seeing Ryan Hardy not not get that rattle and usually get the best of Joe or vice versa. But Strauss kind of got him. He got him, right, Flippo?
Where you got? Who you got? Ryan?
Yeah, like in that thing, like when he broke Ryan down. He's like, basically, you're a psychopath because you got nothing. Like you're a mirror. Like you're a mirror to Joe Carroll.
You have no life. You're just chasing him. That Greg Henry, he's such a terrific actor, and I just love watching him because he's so confident and he's so calm, and he does that. He did that role beautifully. He added so much gravitas to it, but at the same time,
really classed up the joint for sure.
What's that?
He really classed up the joint for sure.
He really did, and he's got that cool gravitas, but there's a coolness, and there's just enough of like he's got to be cool to party with because there's just enough of him that's like a little bit twisted to like you totally buy.
He's got to be cool to party with. Is that where you go?
You know what I'm saying? Like I'd love him. I'd love to hang out with Greg.
Dr. Strauss knows how to party.
Let's go, man.
That's not where I would have
You're right. He knows how to manipulate younger guys.
All right.
And all these guys are younger than he is. If he was Joe's counselor, so you got him. Joe and Ryan are contemporaries. So you got to think that he's used to taking guys that are 20 years younger than he is, 15 years younger than he is, and kind of talking to him a certain way.
Sure.
And it worked on Ryan.
Nando, I'm really like I'm like that scene. It really got to me because it really seemed to affect Ryan, and like he Hardy, like after that I would expect him to come back with some sort of quip back to him, but he just like got up and walked away. I mean, do you think that? I mean, that also seemed out of character for him. What did you make of that?
As far as Ryan,
as far as Ryan's reaction, I just felt like obviously it hit home to some degree. But do you think that that's the truth, or that Ryan thinks it's the truth? I mean, in terms of like you're a mirror, you're just as crazy as he are.
I think
you have no life.
I think it was a little bit of a self-realization on his end. Like he's definitely he walked in there thinking he had all the power with Strauss. Yeah. He definitely thought he had the power with Strauss, and he was calling the shots. And to have Strauss really get into his psyche and kind of give him there's something wrong with you, Ryan. You're not Mr. Goody person. You're actually just as bad as Joe. You're so obsessed with him. I totally saw that as a real like an aha moment for Ryan. Like, holy crap.
Sure.
I don't think it really changes him. He's still obsessed. He still has the same goals in mind. But if anything, it was a very self-reflective moment going, wow, he's got a point there. Okay.
Well, what's cool about that...
I think,
go ahead, Joe. Go ahead, Flippo.
Yeah.
Well, I think also what he came in there with was super thin. He came in there with a little folder on, was it Zane? Is that what the kid's name was?
Yeah. Wait.
With Lance.
Lance,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
With Lance. And
Zane is
comes
from
in there
Bates
with the
Motel.
Lance dossier, and his character, what's his name? Strauss is kind of looking at it going, I would never, this kid, are you kidding? Come on, please.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like, and I think that was part of that also. Not just that he got him a little bit. I think he stung him close to home, but I think a lot of it had to do with the guy. He
his
came
one
in there
lead.
with a very thin dossier.
Yeah, his one lead, and Strauss confirmed that he has nothing to do with him.
Well, there's that one bit.
And it was the way he did it. It was like, come on, this guy, you're kidding me.
Yeah. Well, there's that one bit where Strauss is like, speaking of Joe Carroll, is like, I never understood his need for attention. I never understood why he has to do these grandiose things. And I thought, like, yeah, me neither. Like, I don't understand why is Joe Carroll doing this in this, what is motivating him in this grand fashion. But what I did, what was cool is that you realize that the Joe Carroll is the master of charismatically recruiting all of these followers and being so charismatic and being such a manipulator in a lot of different ways. So of course it makes sense that the guy that trained Joe Carroll is also a master manipulator, because this is the guy that sort of really told Joe Carroll it's okay to kill and really brought out the killer in Joe Carroll. So the fact that he's sitting across Ryan Hardy, it's almost like you're dealing with Joe Carroll's daddy. Like, so of course he's gonna get the best of Ryan Hardy. So I did like that scene. I would imagine we're gonna see something down the road where maybe Ryan will get the best of Strauss, but Strauss wins that one.
Yeah,
sure.
we'll see. We'll see if Strauss comes back. I mean, I have a feeling that we're going to see some more Strauss, like you said, because he has some intel and they keep saying that he's trained other people, so I'm guessing they'll probably it'll probably come back to him eventually.
Sure.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, one of the things that I think as a device Strauss gives the show is it takes the authority or the mantle of the supervillain off of Joe's shoulders a little
Right.
bit. And so we're able to view Joe more as an aberration, or we're able to see it as like, this is a guy who screws up a lot. And so by kind of setting someone above him, you know, like, okay, this is the guy that trained Joe. This is the pinnacle of what Joe was trained to do. This guy went his whole career. He's in his 60s, 70s,
Right.
and you know, probably his 60s. That makes the most sense. And he's never been caught, and he's probably killed hundreds of people. And so we've set the bar in a different place so that Joe can kind of get away with being a little goofier and doing some silly things that would otherwise, if the show's trying to say that Joe's the worst guy ever, they're kind of, But if you set somebody above him and then you say, well, I don't understand why he's trying to get attention. It's much better if you go under the radar. Then I think it kind of gives the show a lot of leeway with Joe. I think they've given themselves some room to breathe with Strauss.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that like well, we're moving. You know, well, yeah, I agree with everything you said. I want to get into the whole, you know, let the rivers of blood flow free. The whole, like, you know, I mean, all this. I don't want to harp too much on the whole cult stuff. But, you know, seeing Joe, you know, maneuver within the cult and sort of, you know, give these sermons, if you will, and preaching around, and there was that interesting scene of sort of like who's with me and who's not. There was the cat scene. The cat. That was very much like.
I'm sorry, but how do you? That cat must have been drugged. I would never. First of all, I don't have a mean bone in my body, so
Right.
I would never do that anyway. But I just cannot believe that if you could just choke out a cat without getting scratched to hell.
There was a very, you know, I don't know, some of our listeners may have watched The Shield, FX's The Shield back in the day, and there was a very famous, and spoiler alert for those of you who haven't watched The Shield.
A
But,
cat dies, I'm guessing. That's a
well,
spoiler.
no, there's a very famous scene in The Shield where one of the detectives is trying to get inside the mind of a killer and try to understand what it feels like to take the life of someone else. So he picks up this neighborhood cat and like chokes him out, you know, and it was very dramatic scene that very much reminded me of Dutch doing that, and that was I mean, you know, that was but I like that when he's like, who else wants to try it? Well, they got a bunch of like feral cats bumping around. Like everyone gets to kill a cat. I got plenty of cats in the back.
Is there a bucket of cats in the back?
Bucket of cats.
Bucket of cats.
The
Who
cat
wants
for
to try
everyone.
cat? We got
Who
cat.
wants to
Yeah.
try? Who wants to try?
There's cats. It's raining cats in there. Again, I don't even want to talk about these cult scenes because I just
All
think
right.
this is
Okay,
lame, man. No. If we're gonna talk about the cult scenes, let's talk about. Excuse me for skipping ahead. Let's talk about the recon team, the away team that goes.
The
out.
away team was cool, and we had Tilda.
Yeah.
You know, I like that Tilda. I like Tilda. I mean, I'm not saying, you know.
So does Lucas, apparently.
Well, no, I mean,
Yeah.
I like her as a character. I'm not saying I like her, you know. But
Oh,
I do,
you
but
could like her. That's
but
okay.
you know, but I like her. You know, I like her spunk and her gumption.
Yeah.
Her spagumption.
Her spunk. Yeah. No, spagumption.
Spagumption.
Okay, whatever that means.
I don't know. Her-
I
it's
just
her
thought-
spunk and gumption.
Yeah, I like these 4 new characters. I kind of would have assumed that we weren't going
Right.
to see all 4 of them last in the episode, and turns out that 2 of them didn't. But
Yeah,
they had
fair enough.
Patrick. Patrick was the former military guy who
Yes.
was apparently torturing Iraqi citizens, and
Yeah, of
and
course he
Tilda, who was in a mental institution for a
Killing
year
her
for I believe
brother?
for stabbing her brother. I
Stabbing
believe it
her brother,
was.
yeah.
Lucas, who was one of the guards and a narcissist, very good-looking gentleman that kind of compliments Tilda.
Well, yeah, that weird
perfectly.
thing, and she's like, you know, he used to call me wide load, and he used to make beeping sounds when I backed up.
Oh yeah, I can relate. I used to make fun of all the fat chicks.
Yeah,
in
and
high
she's like,
school.
oh, what a dick.
I was like, what a dick move.
And then he's like, no one should treat you like that. I was like, I hate when I get attached to the followers. I'm like, what a sweet bunch of killers. They're just a bunch of misunderstood kids.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't know, Joe. Do you like the away team?
I don't know. I did.
That's a
no.
You don't like. You didn't buy any of that junk.
She just knows Ali Z, but yeah, I get it.
Well, I did. Go ahead. You have any thoughts on the away team, or you just kind of like the whole thing?
No, those are my thoughts right there. That was it.
All right. What about the whole bit? So I did like, you know, our girl, you know, again, we did get to our girl,
Mallory?
What's her name? Mallory. Yes.
Mallory, who was Lance's girlfriend.
Yeah.
Who I guess that should have been enough of a reason to say, oh, she's a red shirt.
Yeah.
Lance went, she's going to.
Yeah. And she just was not up to the moment they sat at the bar and he's like, Jack. And she's like, huh? Shut it, Jack.
She reminded me of, if you watched The Walking Dead, she reminded me of Beth from The Walking Dead. And Beth just seems like a very meek character. I would say she's not meek on The Walking Dead anymore, but this girl definitely was kind of like old Beth. Very meek girl. She obviously could not do a thing.
Yeah, well, the sex on the beach, like, get her a sex on the beach. And, like,
and
oh,
just
boy.
the way she drank it, even it was like most college girls who get sex on the beach are like, "Woo, I'm wasted." She's just like sipping it like it was hot tea.
Yeah, she was not ready to go in the bathroom and kill anyone.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And that lady just really just sort of dispatched her very quickly. Like,
oh my God!
Well, she had the line out.
We
you know,
both laughed our asses out when she threw
she's like, let the
Mallory.
Blood.
Yeah, when she threw Mallory on the to the wall, we were just dying laughing.
That was some intentional or unintentional comedy. Like the knife comes out, she's like, get out of my way! She has a knife. Like, wait, I thought you were gonna kill her.
But I thought it was interesting the way they were going about. They were just having a good time in general. These guys were like picking people randomly. Like, oh, I choose her. You know, it's kind of like when you're with your friends. You're like, I dare you to walk up to that girl and ask her out or get her number. And they were doing the same thing, but with murder.
Yeah.
But with murder.
Just a bunch of misunderstood kids out there doing a thing.
Totally.
There's one thing I did want to touch on the cult, and Joe Flippo, you can back me up on this. I think, why I think this cult is so silly is because they're really doing a deep dive in the whole, like, getting into the reasons why, the methodology of Joe Carroll in recruiting people who aren't necessarily wanting to kill. So we actually get to see real time people who are like, I don't know if I want to be a follower. I don't know if I want to kill people. And you can see all of that dialogue written like, it's wonderful, it's beautiful. And it's like, it's this whole thing of like, there's so much
hokey.
There's so much exposition and so much dialogue about like the beauty of killing and the importance of killing and why you should kill. And I think the only way that doesn't get just, lambasted as something you're seeing on primetime television is the fact that they're all wearing like white masks and red robes in some goofy cult. So maybe that's why the cult is so goofy. I don't know. Flippo, what do you think of that?
I don't know. I don't get where the loyalty comes from. Like, I don't get why ex-Iraqi vet that tortured the Iraqis. I don't get why he felt so loyal to Joe that he had to kill. What's his name? What's her name? I didn't get that. I didn't see that. That's what I don't. That's my trouble with this right now. Is I'm not seeing the. I'm not seeing the transition to Joe, or I'm not seeing whatever it is he's supposed to be doing to sell them. Like I saw the cat scene, I saw the redhead that was into it. But
the redhead was into it. She was really into it.
You know what I mean? I didn't see really anybody into it. It seemed, I don't know. I guess it seemed maybe like there was a couple scenes missing where these guys, maybe there were some trust falls. I don't know.
Well, they had the trust falls off camera.
Joe, some trust falls. Joe, you would make a horrible cult member, by the way.
I would. I really would.
He wouldn't have you. He wouldn't have you at all.
I think we need a trust fall. I think it'll lock it all up for you.
You would end up in the the hole for sure.
No question. But I just didn't. I don't buy it. Like I haven't gotten. They haven't gotten me to the place where I'm buying all these people being all about Joe now.
Sure. Two more things we should touch on. Number one is the really great phone call. The big Ryan Joe wiretap confrontation, and that was also a really great scene. That was a lot of like Joe the old school Joe versus Ryan.
It was very classic season one when they got to have their little tete-a-tetes on the phone.
Yeah, and
I loved Emma screaming like, "Get off the phone! It's a trap!" But Joe's like, "No, I've got this handled. I've got this. I've got Ryan. I know these rules. I know how much time I have." And, and of course Joe was right. Unfortunately, but still, it was really fun seeing him was really surprised at Ryan answering Jana's phone.
Yes,
and just a little conversation they were having. It was a lot of fun.
In the move, we should mention the move that he did in the first place, but by using using his girl Carrie Cook to go out and do that. But I think that that back and forth was great, and I love when Ryan's really just needling Joe and really getting under his skin with the whole like, oh, what happened to Poe?
Yeah.
No more Edgar Allan Poe.
I don't love Poe anymore. I've moved from literature to the most important story ever told.
It's almost like it's him, like Ryan's giving him the zingers, and it's almost like it hurts somebody. He's like, Poe is stupid.
Yeah.
I moved on to something.
This is not
grander.
about but it's just funny. Joe's just trying to act all cool. Like, this isn't about me and you anymore. This is much bigger than me and you. It's like, but obviously he was affected by getting Ryan's
when he
voice
gets off
on
the
there.
phone, and that was also great, by James Purfoy when he gets off the phone and he's like, "Don't," and and Valerie and Mandy just kind of run away. I mean, Emma and Mandy just kind of run away.
Oh,
that was some
great.
good stuff. And I was actually afraid of Joe there. What did you think of that scene, Flippo?
Well, yeah, it reminded me of Joe from last season when he was getting frustrated when he had the big cult.
Right.
It seems like he does better when he's in a smaller group. But as soon as he gets like a bigger thing around him, he wants it, he craves it. But as soon as he gets it, it almost overwhelms him each time. And I think that's kind of what I was feeling on that. Like he's got all that pressure that he demands on himself. Like all these people now, he's got to be responsible for, and he's got to be, keep them in. And that last season, that's when he got the most pissed off and the most frustrated, is when he had so many people around him. And I think it seems like it popped right back.
Sure. We have to also mention that just briefly the lamest will she won't she in the will they won't they in the history of television between Mike Weston and Max. It's like, just do it already.
Oh, I can't believe you were worried about me.
Enough.
It's what, but
just do it.
Max was so trusting of him that she doesn't even want to know where he was at.
All right.
Which I thought was interesting.
So there's that.
I got to say it. I'm going to say it because it's the elephant in the room.
Yes.
I love Shawn Ashmore.
Yes.
But he's way the F-bomb out of his league. There's no...
Oh, you really hung up on the perfect lips, aren't you?
Dude, come on, they are perfect.
You hung up on the perfect lips. She does have perfect lips,
saying.
as we've all said.
Saying,
Okay, so
honestly.
no, I got that. So okay, so let's get we've done all that, and we will talk. We have the climax at the end, of course, where the standoff where they do some good detective work or some good.
Where they do some good detective
Well,
work.
they're
standoff.
The detective work by Ryan and
To go to the-
Mike
to
go
the restaurant.
To the restaurant. They get there. There's the
Pay
standoff.
attention to everything Joe says. There's streets,
Yes.
your houses, and where you eat.
I
Very
just
good.
wish that, someone would, some movies when they have the standoff, they just like do that move where they just shoot the guy in the head.
Yeah.
Other moves, they do the thing. I'm like, why don't you just shoot him? I mean, in every standoff that I'm in.
They should have shot him.
Yeah.
They should have shot him. I saw it a mile away. He was going to
Yes.
kill Mallory before she said anything.
But it happened.
Yeah. It's a shame.
So that happened.
Yeah.
And
well.
then we get to the very end with also the biggest non-surprise of the entire episode. Guess what, Joe? Claire's not going back to Arizona. Shocker.
She didn't pay attention in season 1, so of course she's not going to pay attention
Claire's
now.
got to go back to New York. What do you think of
She
that?
told Scott, it's too bad for you. I'm going. And you know what? I'm getting this goofy dye job off my eyebrows and my hair, and I'm going to go back to my natural color. Looks good on me. And that's
Yes.
how it's going to go.
She's you don't like the dye job in the hair, huh?
I'm not a fan.
I mean, apparently that was that was not. I mean, okay. So yeah, she tells Agent Raj that
Marshall Turner.
Marshall Turner, excuse me.
U.S. Marshall Turner.
US
Marshall's not his
Marshall-
first name, but Scott's his first name, I think. She
Yes.
said she called him Scott. Scott Turner.
Marshall Scott Turner.
Yes.
That she's going back to New York. Call whoever you gotta call. I'm jumping back into the fray. I gotta see Ryan Hardy. I mean, and I love it for the sake of the show. I don't know about plausibility's sake, but she's gonna run back. And so what we always want is for her to go back, and what we've always wanted is for her to go back to Ryan, and then her to be what she's going to do. I'm assuming she's going to be able to use.
We didn't always want that. We thought she was dead for a little. I thought she was dead for a little while, but whatever.
Well, Joe always wanted it.
Joe always wanted it. Joe just wants her to go to anyone named Joe.
Yes.
Everything's going to be happily ever after. It's going to be pretty.
Joe
Okay.
Joe walks around this house with a white shirt and a black tie. It's loosened, and does that cool Kevin Bacon walk, hoping that Natalie Z will one day go knocking on his door. I'm telling Aaron, Joe.
You tell her, man. I got Footloose 46 hours in my house. No problem. No question.
You tell her. I don't care. So that's
Constant loop.
Speaking
The
of
only
which,
problem here is this Carrie Cook chick, man. She's going to mess it all up.
oh yeah,
yeah, she's trouble. Well, let's talk about it. Let's get into. Do you have any news? Do you want to get into news and gossip?
I think there's one bit of news I want to mention
So
for
drop?
news and gossip. But I would say it's not so much news on the following, but it's news on Kevin Bacon. If anyone watched the Tonight Show last week,
Yes.
So good.
That was great.
So good.
Kevin Bacon,
definitely.
Footloose, baby.
You know, I will tweet that thing out. I haven't done it yet, but it was so good. Jimmy Fallon did an introduction for Kevin Bacon to come on the show, and he pretty much before he introduced him, he said, "By the way, we have an edict here on the Tonight Show: no dancing." And
That's great.
And now Kevin Bacon, and he opens the curtain, or Kevin Bacon's supposed to come out, and he doesn't come out, and it ends up being this whole awesome bit with him in the green room saying no dancing, and he whipped out his old moves from Footloose.
It was Kevin Bacon. Still got the moves.
It still got the moves. So I mean, kudos to everybody on Tonight Show and Kevin Bacon, everyone on his team for saying, hey, let's have some fun here.
Yeah.
Let's do this. And they made a big musical production. You got to love what Fallon's doing on the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
Some really, really good stuff.
Now that's a show I'd watch. Footloose, the TV show, starring Kevin Bacon.
Starring Kevin
It's
Bacon.
not too late.
It might not be too late.
Nothing's anything wrong with the fall.
But I would say that was really, really, that's the biggest piece of news I saw from that.
All right, fair enough.
And then we didn't talk about it last week, but I believe you spotted that Following got picked up for season 3 unofficially, right?
Yeah,
Or officially?
no, officially.
Officially
Following
season 3.
is picked up for season 3. Mm-hmm. So
that means Mike Weston will not be a follower till like next season,
yeah,
probably
so
till
we
the
have
end.
plenty of time for Mike
Plenty of
Weston to
time
become
for
a
Mike
follower.
Weston to be a follower.
Joe Carroll, plenty of time for Joe Carroll to co-opt another cult,
Mm-hmm.
and more mansions and more bulletproof helicopters and foosball at the followers.
We might have mentioned that. I'm not sure. And then I can do if you let me do some tickety-ticketies, I can do some
While you do that,
tickety-ticketies.
you know, there's one thing I will say. I do love the sound design of the stabbings. I wrote that down, but all that
That's creepy.
No, I'm just saying it's so that sound when you're stabbing. It's I don't know. I'm not saying I love it. It's
Oh,
scary
that's
and
okay.
really
It's still
disgusting.
creepy.
Joe, do you have anything? Any news? Gossip?
No, I don't. I feel like Robin. I'm sorry, and
What's her name?
never mind. Move on.
All right.
Okay,
Move on.
and then a couple of shout outs on iTunes this past week. I see Fisnia and Mad Moni and Po Turul. I've seen him before. I've seen that one name before. And then while I'm pulling up what I had on YouTube, by the way, the person I just want to say, Daniela Graf, she was from Berlin, Germany. I said Europe, and I couldn't remember the country. I didn't want to sound all American and not care about countries.
Too late.
So I cared about countries. Germany.
late.
So German. Danielle Graf, thank you for that.
All right.
Ronnie J, Dave 1555, who called me a hater because of my theory about Claire.
You're a hater.
Because I'm a hater. Brent William Henry, we always hear from him. Good, thank you, sir. Stephanie Swain, Tiffany F, Christopher Salicki, if I'm saying his name right, Tasha
Probably
B,
not.
Fuchsia Flashdance, Boyd Lesher, thank you very much. It's Mrs. Inster.
Okay.
And Ms. Libra 00 and Shiloh Lewis and I believe Jay Jackson.
Jax.
Jay Jackson.
Cool.
Okay.
Let's
Thank
go
you
to-
very much for writing.
Thank you very much for listening.
And please follow us on iTunes. If you're not following us on iTunes, we love a certain number. If you can rate us, what's that number that you rate us?
5.
5.
Yes.
5 stars. Yes, we love 5 stars. Thank you. And and you can also comment on YouTube, and we will read and follow and write and all that stuff.
Thank you for all your comments on YouTube, all your
Yes.
comments on iTunes. We do read them all and try to adjust accordingly.
Yes.
And thank you for rating us, and thank you for listening to us and being loyal to us from season 1 all the way through midway to season 2
We love 5s.
into season 3. How about some predictions?
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Roya, what's your prediction?
I think someone's gonna follow somebody.
Oh.
Someone's gonna follow someone.
I got news for you. We used that one in season 1.
Did we?
Did someone go follow someone?
By the way,
We did.
no hesitation on Roy's part.
That was really
Roya
good,
was
though.
stone cold.
Roya's improv skills, impeccable.
I was gonna bring up the cat, maybe another animal, but I felt like that was really morbid.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, it
Fair
can be
enough.
morbid.
Joe Flippo, you got a prediction for me?
I do. I think that Carrie Cook is going to mess things up. I'm kidding. I think that when Natalie Z comes back, obviously there's going to be some rough water ahead with her and Carrie Cook and what's going on with Ryan. And Ryan's going to feel betrayed and devastated.
Yep.
And I think that's going to make some ugliness for Mike also, because what the hell, Mike? And I think so that all is going to be going on in the task force while Lily Gray is rolling back in, obviously, according to the previews. So I think the task force is going to get a little bit jacked up because it's so small. It makes it nimble. It makes it impenetrable. But now that it's going to be messed up because Natalie Z comes back in, I'm like, what the hell? And now I've got Carrie Cook and Natalie in the same room. What's going on?
Joe.
I think we're going to have a little bit of turmoil in the task
Save
force.
something for season 5.
That's the worst prediction. Are you writing season 3?
He did this last week too. He has it written out. It's like a 15-minute prediction. It's amazing.
right.
I'm amazed at how fast.
It's a catch-all.
Yeah.
I predict that
Your improv skills are impeccable too.
Nando,
Amazing.
prediction?
So, to be honest, Joe kind of stole my prediction a little bit.
Oh, well,
about,
he said
about-
everything.
He pretty
That's why
much
you're
said
mad.
everything. That's problematic, all right. Well, I will tell you this. So, Carrie is definitely going to cause some problems. Here's what I see happening. I see Claire coming back. Hush, hush. The FBI and the marshals doing whatever they can to get her in there, cover her up and walk into Ryan's room, and Carrie sees her. And, of course, Carrie's going to maybe say, oh, it's just off the record. Oh, wow, Claire's alive. And then she's going to go on her TV show on Impact America, whatever it's called, Update America, and announce it to the world that Claire is alive, which is, of course, going to notify Joe and Lily about
That's a good
Claire.
one. I like that one.
So, yes, so Carrie is going to mess it up. She's going to get the scoop of the century and announce that Claire is alive while everyone else is trying to keep that quiet.
I like that. I like
Really good take.
That's a good take. I like we keep forgetting about Lily. The reintroduction of Lily. We know from the previews that Lily's back next week, and I like the idea.
And
of
I'm
this,
so happy for that.
I like the idea of this rival sort of follower leader for Joe. I mean, they're rivals now
Yeah.
at this point. So
She's an alternate cult.
That she's an alternate cult leader, ultimate rival. So I think that the introduction of Claire will definitely mess up the balance of the happy cult, and I think we'll see some defections for sure. Maybe Mandy, but maybe even Emma. Emma, who's so loyal to Joe. Maybe when
Wow.
I'm just saying, maybe when, because Emma's she's got some leadership qualities herself. Emma's not going anywhere.
She would defect. You're saying she would defect and do her own cult. She wouldn't defect and run to the FBI.
Well, no. Defect means Lily. I mean, Lily may get some people over on Lily's team. What I mean by that is,
defect to Lily's
once
side.
Claire comes back and Joe's like, "I love you, Claire," then Emma's like, "Forget you, Joe," and she'll run over to hang
that's
with
possible.
Lily.
Okay.
I think that could
Lily doesn't like Emma, but I could see that happening.
well, but
I could see that happening. Though.
strange,
Yeah.
strange bedfellows, and then maybe Mandy. So either Mandy or Emma or both will defect to Lily. That's my prediction.
Awesome.
Joe Flippo, where can we find you? Besides,
You can find me on
Home.
the Twitters at Joe Flippo, JoeFlippo, and my website is josephsanflippo.com.
Nando Vel.
You can find me on Twitter at Nandovel, Nandovel. Also here at AfterBuzz for The Walking Dead. Our season finale is next Sunday, and we have a special guest, Josh Hutchinson, who plays Eugene. But you can also find me with these kooky guys on and a gal, usually on Bates Motel, Blacklist, and what was the other one we did today? I always forget one. Hannibal.
It's called Hannibal.
Hannibal. Of course, that's an awesome one.
Julia Kearley is not here, but you can find her on Instagram and Twitter at Julia Kearley. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Joe K. Braswell, and on a bunch of other shows that he just mentioned that I won't mention again. And thank you so much for joining us for the following, and we'll see you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.